Three,
Online.
2, 1. Okay, going.
Live?
Yes, we're live.
Okay,
God
all
damn
right.
it.
Now, welcome to the second episode of BTBtv version 2.
Version 3.
Yeah, take 5. This week we'll be covering the Crimson DLC, BTBnet testing on all of those, BTBnet T1 settings released on the file share, and the logo contest, new rules and regulations, and big stream battle featuring Audley versus Costa. We can go ahead and start our discussion on the Crimson map pack, and we'll let somebody who hasn't already given their spiel and go with Audley. Have you seen them yet at all?
Oh, me?
Who?
Who? I was laughing too
Your
hard.
mic cut out.
Audley, you've seen the you've seen the new maps, right?
I've played a little bit on it.
Okay. Which one have you think is the better map of the three?
Harvest is the only one I don't really care too much about.
Right.
I didn't really care much for Wreckage, although I only played King of the Hill and Slayer on it. On Slayer, it just seemed that all of the action gravitated toward the really high cliff, and everyone else just kind of sat back or derp lifted straight to the people who were already controlling the hills. It was a really boring game, even with randoms. I can't imagine how ridiculously bad it would play with actual players. Shatter, I played a little bit of Extraction on. It was really good. I liked that it was kind of symmetrical, maybe not perfectly symmetrical, but it played really well. It seemed oddly spaced out. Harvest is just a standard kind of map. It'll probably play pretty well, but it seems like there's a lot of really tight hallways that may not be very fun in an organized setting.
Okay. Right now it seems to be playing a lot of like balanced of outside and inside. Do you think that eventually in competitive play that it will like gravitate more like Rat's Nest did to where the outside is basically pointless?
I think it'd be the opposite way on that map. You'd have a few people flanking inside, but mostly it would be action on the outside, people trying to push, because the outside people can see inside fairly well in most of the high traffic areas that matter.
All right. Costa, have you played on the new maps at all?
I haven't played Halo in a couple weeks.
That's what I was about to say. I was gonna say. I would ask you, but you don't even play Halo.
True. Probably coming back after next week. I'm at school, trying really hard, so
Right, yeah.
I have Christmas break to nerd it out.
Costa's an education sweaty kid.
Exactly.
Vanny, you've been playing a bunch on it. You said something earlier when nobody could hear anyone about the effect of power-ups on Wreckage.
Oh my God. Okay, so that map already looks foggy and blurry and dirty as it is. Everything is orange. If you get a damage boost, I felt like I was colorblind. I couldn't see anything. We were probably blue team too, so I'm trying to look at red kids on a red map with red blurry damage boost shit on my screen. Like, it was awful. I couldn't see anything. And there's the other map, Shatter, I think, with the mantis, right? That one's blurry too. It's like, okay, like, why do they have to make stupid blurry map? I don't know. I just thought it was stupid. But
Right.
It's for visual effect.
Yeah, visual effects.
Jeez.
So what you're actually getting is like the average player that is blind anyway, blinding him further.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, Ruben, you actually got to look at some of the testing, the like settings that Matt Clan had put together for those maps.
I did.
Do you think that Shatter and Wreckage especially are improved at all? Or do you think those are? Do you think those are going to end up being played?
Haven't seen Wreckage yet. Disclaimer's actually working on his own setup for that. I think they're actually working on it today, or they were this morning. Shatter, yes and no. There are a lot of things I like about Shatter, and there are a lot of things that I don't like. Although, in matchmaking, the jetpack just completely breaks the map. Like, it's unbelievable how much the jetpack breaks it. But if we have only like one jetpack floating around in competitive settings as it is, um, then it's probably gonna work. I know John actually moved the sniper from on top of the bunker to actually inside the base, so combat will actually be starting a lot faster. You won't have teams
Right.
having like this bum rush from your base through your teleporter, just like praying you get to your sniper before the other team's mantis like hits you with a rocket or something.
Right. Right. Uh, have you seen Harvest at all? That's
Yes,
the only one I've seen
yeah.
that he's worked on.
He actually hasn't changed too much about it. Like the core setup is still the same. I believe he moved the snipers from that like doorway on the right side of each base. He put some rockets bottom middle, and I believe there's also a laser. Um, Other than that, most weapons are in their original spots. I know there's a couple. I think two hogs and a ghost per team. Um,
Wow.
so I can see that playing well because the map actually loans itself well to vehicles, much to Costa's dismay, because we all know who doesn't like vehicles.
Right. Okay. There's been a lot of complaints about the map pack coming out at this point. Do you guys really feel other than for the moment let's forget about the like complete screw up that letting everyone have it for free was. Do you feel that there's an issue with having DLC pretty much done and like waiting, or is that not really a problem for you guys?
I think it's a terrible marketing strategy.
The whole like, season pass plan of having all the maps basically done.
Yeah, it's stupid. You're charging $20 extra for content that's already finished to just throw in, make a few tweaks too after you've launched the game because players realize, hey, this game isn't as good as it could have been. So you make some small tweaks and then you release maps that were already finished, have been in development for as long as the game has. They said Harvest is one of the maps they've worked on the longest, counting the disc maps. And it's like, why do you not just include that in the game and try to keep players around longer so they'll actually be around to get maps you make in the future
All right.
instead of going straight into working on your next game? Sustain the game you have for a little longer so people will actually stay loyal to your franchise.
Well, I guess like the counterpoint to that, like a lot of the players will come back. Like new maps are getting released in like a month after the game, so they might be more inclined to come back after buying Call of Duty and playing it for a week or two if there's something new out there, rather than if everything got released the same. I mean, I hate that you have to pay extra money, but I feel like it's not that terrible of a marketing
If your
strategy.
players quit less than a month after your game launched, there's a problem with your game.
Well, no, you gotta
That's
remember.
not necessarily
Ozzy.
true when you have a subsequent launch with a game like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to bring up Casa's point that having the maps come out right after that is kind of counter strategy to the players that would be pulled away by Call of Duty. It doesn't matter how great Halo 4 was. Halo 4 could have been the greatest Halo game ever. There would have still been a bunch of players. Could have been, Costa, shut up. Could have been. Theoretically, let's say Halo 4 is the greatest Halo game ever. When Black Ops 2 came out just a couple weeks later, Halo 4 would have lost some players. And releasing the map pack after that would possibly bring some of them back.
I kind of agree with that, but also I have this feeling that we're playing, like everyone's saying, we're playing the Halo 4 beta right now. So it's like we paid $60 for a broken game that we're then fixing for 343.
Right.
So
But-
it feels kind of weird that they're already releasing new maps when they haven't even made the real game.
When they haven't fixed the maps the game they're adding on to yet.
Yeah. It's like you still have camel glitch. Yeah, oh, we can release 3 new maps. Like,
Right.
no,
Yeah,
fix
that was
the
actually my
fucking
biggest
camel
problem.
glitch.
Yeah, when they did the update, I was like, "Oh, that's great that they fixed like the instant reload for the bolt shot or the super grenade glitch. That's all fine." But that they still decided that, hey, you know what? We're still not going to learn anything from Reach, and we're going to let people start with camo, and we're going to leave that stupid glitch in the game because that's obviously not a problem, right?
Right.
You can counter it with Promethean vision.
Oh, wait.
Right. Seriously, the camo glitch has actually basically ruined any sense of quality that matchmaking had in baiting.
Dude, Exile is my favorite map. Just fucking camel glitch around the corner with bolt shots, dude. Greatest experience ever.
Honestly, Exile could be a pretty decent map. But yeah, the fact that people can just crouch around camo all day is awful. It ruins every map.
I'll be really happy when they fix that shit.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating. Like, everybody does it now. They're gonna get like, just don't become dependent on camo glitching. It sounds like everybody's doing it now. Like, stop. Just stop.
The best part is going to be once they fix it. Like, good players will be able to adjust quickly to not having it, but there will be a definite like drop of the players that are dependent upon it.
Well, are we going to see anything like we did with Armor Lock in Reach, where some of the teams wouldn't come over because there's no Armor Lock?
Teams,
Come on, Revolution, you know what's
players
good.
quit playing because Armor Lock got nerfed.
It's like, come on now.
Yeah, I
I
actually
quit
think
playing
I'd
Reach
actually
because Armor
see
Lock
this.
got nerfed.
Say what?
I said I quit playing Reach because Armor Lock got nerfed.
You mean if they stick me and then I go armor lock, I die?
Hold on. What's fair is
What
that,
kind of bullshit is that?
right? All right, so we skipped that for a moment, but we're gonna bring it up now. The complete like screw up that letting people, we're gonna let them try it out for free.
We'll say shout out to Macplan for downloading my account and getting me the maps for free because I don't have my Xbox account. Or at school.
That licensing glitch, dude.
Damn straight. It's how Wake Up makes all of our games. Switch accounts, license glitch. Spend 30 minutes waiting. Get hit offline.
Shame.
Or Narnia. Not Wake Up. Whatever.
Yeah, right. Do you? In what world do you think that they thought people would buy their like coming out later and be like, yeah, that was on purpose?
It's a brilliant marketing strategy. I can see CBS Angel there twiddling her thumbs.
Right. No, I don't even blame her. No, I feel sorry for her, honestly, because she has
It's
nothing
not-
to do with that. She's just
It's
the one who
not
has to
343's fault.
Man. You know,
Did Rob just die?
Yeah.
Rob, come back.
I hear.
Dude, the potato is going overdrive.
Switch potato. It's getting rotten.
the potato batter. Dead.
No matter.
If only
Potato
this
runs on
potato would
potato.
grow better eyes.
So yeah, we mentioned earlier that that T1 settings are up for BTBnet, and you can download that on the official BTB net file share. We also have new rules and regulations that are going to be put up on the the forum. Vanny, can you cover some of that for us?
Sure. Like you said, stage 1 of getting the league rolling is complete. We've got our rules written up. A lot of them are pretty much the same from last season, but got a couple new things like assigning which color is going to always be party leader. There's a new protocol you have to follow being party leader before you start a match. A new a new minimum roster size, but the max is the same, stuff like that. It'll all be up on the site tonight. So if you want to check it out, and you can get used to it, start learning it. It's not a lot. It's pretty easy, kind of, you should know this anyway, sort of stuff. But yep, so that's all done, and hopefully we'll start being able to work even more on League.
Cool.
I also look at those and I see the 5-minute rule between matches is now in there.
Yeah.
You get 5 minutes between. It's
5
official
minutes
now.
between matches. Right. And speaking of your point out that you can't be banned, however, Costa is banned from Party Lead. Mr. End games before they're over.
It took away MT's opportunity to stat, dude. I can't believe that.
Costa
Man,
didn't
I
want to get
never
spawn
came back
killed
to
from
BTB.
by MT, so he
I'm getting off the chat.
burned.
Damn it, Rob. Damn it.
We also have some news for the unexpected news for the logo contest.
Yes. Submissions ended Friday at midnight. 12 a.m. So nobody can submit anything new. We have a ton of entries. Unfortunately, we really just couldn't make up our minds in the whole 2 days we gave ourselves. So we're not going to announce anything until next week. Sorry, but I promise it will actually be announced next week, or I will kill someone.
We actually did get several really good submissions, so it's been kind of tough for us. Yes. Actually, no. You know what? Contest is over. Costa wins.
Hand drawn on the fly.
Hand drawn on the fly. Best submission.
As long as we know.
What the fuck is that?
Second look.
Yes, awful. Shame on you.
Why did you let go?
Right?
Yeah, it's a battle.
It's a toss-up between Costa and Danger Boy's paint skills, right? We're gonna make sure we pick the right one, you guys.
That's right. Putting the poll up after the show.
Can I use all my BTB.net accounts to make sure I win?
No.
No.
Wow.
Still haven't found them all.
So, this week's discussion on Big Stream Battle is going to be Halo 4 skill, or BTB skill gap in Halo 4, or perhaps just in general.
In general.
In general, right.
I don't know how to play Halo 4.
So is the basic thing gonna be Halo BTB kids have no thumbs, other players do, and then that's the end of the discussion?
Rob, you're ruining the only point he has ever made on the subject.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get that set up, and Ruben can get our scoreboard up.
It's already live. It's already up.
Blue team.
Already up. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and start. We'll let Costa have as the guest. We'll let him have first point, and we'll see if it's BTB kids have no thumbs.
I play BTB.
Oop.
Oh, he just turned his camera off. I think I win.
Oh,
And Costa drops. Scared.
Wait, he
The
dropped from the
case
call?
scared.
you know, the case of the scared.
We get him back.
What? Am I here?
You have no camera.
What?
Uh,
Turn
He has less camera.
Maybe now?
Kids have thumbs.
Were you good?
there we go.
Can you guys hear me?
In the call, but I see him on the street. Yeah.
You can hear me. And
Right.
the stream is really delayed.
Well, there is a delay.
It's like 3 seconds.
No, actually, I'm like frozen on the screen.
So I can get to the OP and
I think
make
Rob's
some
internet
fun
is-
Yeah.
I got everybody back.
His
I
potato
just can't-
computer crashed, and now his cabbage router's crashing.
Potato powered potato cam.
Give the horse another carrot.
Yep. I've got everybody on. I got everybody's video.
Oh, now what? Oddly's now on a potato for me. What the fuck?
Really? He looks okay to me.
I don't. I just have your picture.
I
Manny.
don't see
No.
Benny's cam.
Yeah, I don't
Whatever.
see Vanny's cam
Yours
either.
is fine.
All right. Well,
Are-
is
We're
Alright.
good?
Oh, there we go. Okay, we're
there we
good.
go.
I don't know how I turned it off, but it was like,
Alright.
me on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Costa, go ahead and we'll
Ooh.
open with your point.
Vanny getting
Go.
All right. I guess my point is that BTB and just BTB teams in general, since I've been involved in the community and anything I've even seen way back in Halo 3 Squad and Ranked Big Team, like no team has really even approached the top of the skill gap for BTB. And I've seen like a lot of developments when I switched over to MLG with like the amount of communication and aggression that's like available to play. And even like with the better teams I've been on, we've like we're at a point of passiveness, and I feel like for a team to get over the top from where we were with, I guess, Obey, you need to play more aggressive and actually like know what you're doing in big team, rather than what I've seen so far is, at least in Slayer matches, you see teams just posting up top mid, hiding behind a rock, and just sitting there. Like I feel like BP has a long way to go for like hit that mechanical skill gap. Like increase the number of good players who are playing it, and again with the increased competition we're gonna get from BTB.net, I think we could actually like, push it to a whole new level that we see in 4v4.
Interesting. That was not expected.
There
I
were-
expected like
No
complete
thumbs.
insults instead of
No
constructive.
thumbs at all.
Yeah, no thumbs needed.
Yeah.
Costa takes the lead. No
Is it
pressure.
Is it my
Probably.
turn to respond yet,
Fine.
Rob?
What?
Do I get
Yeah.
to respond now?
Of course you can
I think a
respond.
large part of why no one has reached the skill gap or the skill ceiling that Costa's looking for is because there's no incentive to at the moment. There have never been any like huge tournaments or prize money matches for big teams, so no one has to improve. They just played the same teams that are only playing because they enjoy big team. They're not playing because they want to be the best at big team necessarily. So there's no reason to get better. You just get better than the next team, and since the next team doesn't really have anyone to push them to get better, it keep the same level of competition the entire time, and they don't have to learn you since they do know already. Still work against the same teams over and over. Those same 16 players sitting at the top while the rest try to fight them up. They don't have skill, teamwork, or the time playing together required to match up with the teams that are above them yet.
You okay with me?
That's an excellent point.
And I was told I was cutting out like a robot.
Yeah, you cut out a little bit, but I think I got the gist of it. But I mean, even when we had teams, like they were pretty fair matched. And again, I'll go back to the Obey and Reg times. Like we push ourselves to like some degree. The fact that like teams weren't looking for scrims all the time, and there's such a small number of players at the top, like you were saying, it's been holding Link back. But with BTB, like with the increase of number of good players who are playing it that we saw at I guess the end of Reach, and just the general interest in it when MLG went down. Like if we could build off that, you get that same caliber of players, and there just needs to be that incentive that you're talking about to move up past where we were and like bring it to a whole new level to where BTB is actually like at the same where BTB isn't a joke anymore. Honestly, like it's too slow as it is right now, and it's not because the players aren't good enough. Because at this point, a good amount of them are. Like you just need to put the time in and like push each other. And I really hope that we get to see a team do that.
There's no real reason to put the time in though. Like even if you do put time in, there's still just a small gap between the few teams that are at the top, and then a huge gap between them and the ones below them that they only have to be just slightly better than the other team, and there's no real reason to put a lot of time in, because what do they get out of that other than being able to say, oh, hey, we're the best at a playlist no one else gives a fuck about? Although, to be fair, in Halo 4, my team is the largest playlist all of a sudden, so maybe we'll see a little bit more interest as people find out about BigTeamBattle.net that, hey, I can play competitively in this. Maybe we'll see some growth that will try to spike.
Well, I guess I shouldn't say. I'm trying to stay away from the playlist, honestly. The playlist like, generates attention initially. I mean, it's why I started playing Big Team, but at the end of the day, I shouldn't say it's BTB.net's responsibility, but the only way BTB's ever going to get to that next level is through tournaments like that. I mean, we see with the French players, if any of you have seen the I Love BTB games, anything like that, they have great communication, and they sort of know what they're doing, albeit their individual skills and all. If we put that same dedication in that they get, I mean, do they have huge prize money and everything like that up on the table?
Actually, yeah, they do.
Yeah, they have lands and everything.
Yeah, they have huge lands, lots of sponsors.
I know they have lands, but is it anything comparable?
Yeah. Well, comparable as in the amount of money? No, but it's still a lot of money. I mean, the teams that win the I Love BTB lands and tournaments get a few $1,000. The equivalent. I mean, they have huge sponsorships over there, and they make quite a bit of money. Not like livelihood money on it, but more than what we're making on it.
I'm gonna jump in with a controversial statement here, because Costas was trying to insinuate that their individual skill isn't there. I would say that if the best French team were to play whatever the top North American team is right now on a fair connection, no like over the ocean sort of thing, the French team would win, and it has nothing to do with the individual skill difference.
I don't know how good the current BTB like best North American team is, but from my experiences playing against the French players, and I guess I should say it is limited to MLG. I mean, I've played what's the big team name they have? The
KFR.
Yeah, I played the KFR kids and not the shitty ones. I know there are two tiers. The good kids in MLG on their host, and I've beaten them like very, very badly. And granted, they don't put the same amount of time in MLG they do in a big team. Like if you're losing individuals on a connection across the country or across the world and across the ocean, then you're struggling somewhere. And I would say pretty confidently that if I have to go back to Reach because that's what I know. Like if the N teams wake up, obey, and I would honestly even say like Ambition and just some of the other better teams, I think they could have beaten KFR at the end of Reach. And while they probably are better right now with the amount of time they put in, just because they're much more organized and they're actually playing each other, which probably is the biggest problem with our community is that we don't play each other in customs enough. It's always been the biggest issue. Like, don't be afraid to get your ass kicked. Honestly, it's a game link. Move on. But yeah, I would disagree.
But then if I lose in a custom, someone's going to post the game link on the forums, and the forums matter. The big difference between the French teams and the BTBnet teams, in my experience, has nothing to do with like the amount of practice. Well, actually, no, I take that back. It does have a ton to do with the amount of practice. The way they play, though, is completely different. When we played KFR or whichever team it was in the Halo Charts tournament, they were always moving perfectly together. They were aggressive. They were together. Like, they knew how to cover each other's backs, and I don't think it had anything to do with communication. It was the amount of time they've played together, which is the reason I think most of Obey is usually at the top. It has nothing to do with necessarily that they're all better than the other teams. It's just that they have stuck together longer collectively than most of the other teams. Like, even when teams like Master Theory rise to the top, it's off new rosters, and they're still not necessarily beating Obey or competing with them as well as they could if they had been together since Halo 3, like a lot of the Obey players have.
Effectively, a lot of Wake Up has played together on teams or just in general for 4 or 5 years now. So
that's not
whereas
entirely true.
Guys like Siphon, Godhand, those guys play together.
That's it, though. That's just Siphon and Godhand.
Not just those two. Several of the other ones have too. They've been playing since.
Yeah, there's the 2 sets. I mean,
the squad.
Yes. Yeah, the squad. I guess that's.
There's a good chunk. There's a good chunk. Maybe not right now because they have revamped their roster a little bit, but during Reach, a good chunk of Wake Up was simply stats.
That's a fair point. But I saw in the chat box from Game Sage the Bad Kid that like the whole map control issue with Slayer, like when I pointed out that kids just sit top middle and call it a day, like sure, that's map control. I guess this is the point I'm sort of trying to make. Like I guess you compare it to Arena, since I mean you played that as well. Like originally in the first few seasons, teams were very, very passive, and you didn't see anyone being super aggressive until Jetpack was put in. And Jetpack is honestly just like the dumbed down version of teamwork. It lets any retard like just fly up in the air and be able to team shoot. And I guess the same degree that
shot.
Excuse me.
Or B team shot.
Or B team shot. But either way, it does promote like play, and it dumbs down pushes because you have to watch more things. But that same degree, or I guess that same idea, you can accomplish the exact same thing with good teamwork. I mean, I guess it was at the beginning of season 7 when like me, Armish, Trav, like we started playing like really, really aggressive, and it worked against the kids who were just using evade and sitting back with snipes and just trying to win games 20-15. Like I mean, we see that in big team, but the only way to get past that, like you need to actually be able to push together, and it will work. Like if you know where the other team is going to spawn in big team, you can do something about it. It requires a lot more from each individual player as a teammate than just sitting there behind a rock and staying alive. It's the only way to go from where we are. Because right now it's you sit top mid, you team shoot, you hopefully get 2 or 3 kills, and then you die.
So you say you haven't played much of Halo 4, right?
I nerded up for the first like 2 weeks, and then I had to go back to school.
Being aggressive in Halo 4, it's a lot harder to get that to work when they can just instantly respawn and start shooting you before you've had any chance for your shields to come back at all. You can't just go push their spawns because they're going to spawn healthier with you. Spawn with the DMR, which can already shoot you from whatever range you're trying to fight with. They can go camo as soon as they spawn if they want to.
Crouch and camo.
Well, I'm trying to like get away from the playlist ideas.
That won't be in BTBnet settings, so there's a little. I mean, instant respawn will still be in net settings, but people will be spawning battle rifles, not DMRs, camo, and crap. They will be able to spawn as soon as they've died, and to be right up on their spawns. You're putting yourself at a disadvantage.
Yeah, you're kind of in and out for me. Could you repeat the last 50 sentences?
And that said, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage to push up on their spawns because they're spawning with full shields while you're still weak from the fight before.
Yeah, they're going to spawn behind you with camo, with a DMR, with full shields.
I'm saying even in BTBnet settings, instant respawn will still be there.
True.
So they can spawn as soon as you've killed them, and you're still half shields. They're full shields. You don't get an advantage for pushing their spawns. You're putting yourself in a bad position and slay your game types if you try to be aggressive.
Well, I guess that's one of the beauties of BTB is that you can always have numbers on someone. Like if you actually play aggressively with a team, you will always have numbers on someone. If there's, I mean, 5-shot kill, you have 2 people team shooting, and one of you's half shield, you're gonna win that every single time, and neither of you should die if you can. As long as you're actually playing intelligently. Yes, if you push yourself trying to kill an off your spawn by yourself, you get small mind and you are going to die. But if you actually play it aggressively and you know as a team we're going to force their spawn here, and if you know how to properly react to that and stay alive and keep your numbers, you will do infinitely better than you would if you just sat there top middle and just hoped like they weren't organized enough to break your setup. Like honestly, you just give the other team too much time and don't put enough pressure on if you just sit there.
So you would say that pushing is better on a map like Ragnarok than just sitting and holding the 3 main choke points where they can't come through without going into a 3-man team shot? Like if you hold Turret, Hill, and Pelican on Ragnarok, they can't really break your setup without a sniper going off or them taking your Banshee out first. If you try to push up, you're walking into a lot easier concentrated fire on their team than they are if they try to push through any of the choke points on the map the other way because of the way the map's designed.
All right. Well, using Ragnarok as an example, it's the whole issue of giving the other team enough time to do whatever they want. So you have 8 people, 3 choke points, let's say 4 top mid, 2 on each side, 2 Pelican, 2 Turret.
I'd say 3, 3, and 2.
3, 3, 2. Okay.
Or
3
2,
Pelican
3, 2, and a Banshee.
2, 3, 2, and a Banshee. All right. So go there. You always, if you take your time as a team and you're being given that time because the other team isn't pushing up and they're just sitting there, you can have numbers on any one place you decide to push. Like if you push through turret side, you have cover from top middle. The Pelican guys don't have a great angle unless you're like sitting way far back, and you will have numbers pushing that turret side. And if you have numbers, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it. Unfortunately, as it stands right now, people are just either A, sitting in their base and not doing anything, or B, pushing through, just not together. If you take your time and get numbers, you should be able to break that setup on one side at least. And then, again, with instant response, it's even easier to break that kind of setup, because you're going to be able to get off your spawn, know exactly where the other team is, and with, again, either the BR or the DMR, you're going to be able to get shots in on where your team is already pushing. You're going to be able to break a setup with instant spawns, and if you're organized. It's just that much easier.
If you're pushing through Territory 3 or Water Cave to try to take over turret, you've got a guy on the wraparound on the hill and the 2 guys on the turret pushing and shooting each of you as you come through 3 or around the big rock. 3 guns go into maybe 2. Like, you can't get that choke point at the same time, you're going to land on a grenade and each of you be one shot. If you try to push through one at a time, you're going to be walking into 3 people shooting at a time, and that's 2 shots from each of them before you're dead. You can't really push back on that. It's a choke point. That's the point of it. It chokes your team into a bad situation.
No, I'm well aware it's a bad situation.
Don't make me go boss nasty on you and be like, you know what a choke point is?
Can you prove that?
Oh my god. Oh my
Can
god.
you prove you know what a choke point is?
Choke
I'm
point!
going to draw one.
Oh
No,
my god.
but,
I can't believe you
I mean,
did that.
hold on. With I guess with your point that you can't push all together at once. Yeah, that's not ideal. You have multiple angles, especially from the back of the base. Like from, you want to call it, you want to say pushing out of water side or pushing out of like the waterfall side, like the.
Pushing from beach side, typically. It's the harder one, in my opinion. Well,
So
if they have the setup already.
So if they have a setup already pushing from beach side,
Yeah.
all right.
Just
So from
assuming
beach
the
side,
Banshee's up. If the Banshee's down, I'd say the waterfall's actually harder.
all right. Well, I mean, first priority in BTB, you have to be able to neutralize their Banshee, or at least just not let it rain fire all over you. I mean, that's just like step one. If you just let vehicles run around you, you're fucked. But wait, can I curse?
Have you not
Fuck
heard
no,
everybody
you
saying
can't
fuck all
curse.
the time?
Fuck, you can't say anything
it's
bad
like-
on
Thank
the
you
show.
for asking.
Thank you, Vandy. But I mean, once the Banshee's down and they don't have obviously like, a ridiculous amount of power weapon control, you can break that setup through having guys at the front of your base, like maybe one or two, they can get an angle on the guys that are on wraparound and being able to put shots in. And you're going to have
VR shoots from there so easily. Better hope they grab the DMR on the base because that's the only way they're landing that shot.
I don't know.
There's
That's
also
what
light
makes
rifle
it
in there.
usually.
There's also a light rifle in there. I think Ragnarok might be a bad example due to the fact that it is all choke points. How would you suggest that same style of breaking a setup would be used on a map like Exile?
Well, again, the people on top of the base, I should say it's just a principle for all of Big Team. You're going to have numbers if you push aside. And granted, like, if you have two people in your base shooting guys off top mid or wherever they're holding it, and then you push the other side, you have people that are on the far side of the map who are not really going to be in play, especially with the BR. You're going to have numbers on one of the push and break that up. And once you break the setup, it's
Right.
if you're dying the setup, you're going to have the instant spawn to be able to help your teammates push.
Right, but a setup like that is based on mostly symmetrical maps. Asymmetrical maps would have to be done in a different way, because there's no real setup as a power position. I mean, you can hold small rooms and vehicle spawns.
Could you give me like an in-game example?
On Exile, most teams either hold the base where the Gauss spawns and Banshee, or they hold where the tank spawns and the middle base.
On Exile?
Yeah.
What's
not
Exile?
Reach Exile?
Oh well. I have like 3 games of.
This kid doesn't even know what Halo 4 maps are, Rod. What?
Wow.
-5 points for Costa.
What's the score?
What is a Halo 4?
Wait, there's a Goss in this game?
Only when it wants to be there, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
Exile.
Wants to be there.
Well, I guess
The sketchy spawns.
for the asymmetrical map, it's even easier because you're going to have less direct sight lines between the like far points of a map, if you will. Like from shooting all the way across from the right side to left side on the reach. Exactly. It's a hard shot as it is. But on an asymmetrical map where you're not going to be able to cover everything, and even if you have everything covered, you're not going to be able to have numbers on any one side. And the numbers that aren't on the side that's being pushed are completely irrelevant because they can't even have a hope of getting a shot in, much less like praying to get
They're
like 1
completely
or 2.
irrelevant until that tank respawns, and now they have a tank on their team. Or the Goss respawns, and then they have a Goss that you just completely ignored because you're running around on foot with your numbers that are going to do so much to that Goss Warthog.
Yeah,
How does the
wouldn't a map like that be better off of you setting up and sitting on that until it came up?
Well, yeah, until it comes up, yes, but it's the point of not only just establishing map control, but actually doing something with it. The point of map control is to make it easier to get kills, and if you're just sitting there, you're not going to be able to capitalize on that until power weapons or a power vehicle in that case comes up. So in the meantime, you should be being aggressive because the other team wants to beat you twice to get that same point. They have to push you as you're pushing them and then get the map control, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to get control of that Goss or get control of Orpian than if you're just sitting there and they just have to beat you once.
If this were Halo... Go ahead,
I was
Nate.
going to say that Myth brings up a good point in the chat box that apply everything to BTB net settings, not necessarily matchmaking. So BR starts, no camo.
Right, with the map's design as asymmetrical versus symmetrical, that's not changing. You can't turn an asymmetrical map into a symmetrical map.
Yeah, I just meant in general, try to keep in mind.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Continue
I mean,
on.
either way.
A lot of Costa's arguments, though, are being off of Halo Reach's mechanics, which in that game, what's the point of pushing when 8 people are spawning with a gun that can shoot all the way across the map? They can kill the people off their spawn without having to leave the middle of the map.
All right, so I guess even by that logic, my point's even more true now that you have a BR, so you're not going to be able to be as or you're not going to be able to do as much from as far away. I mean, with a lot of teams that are practicing in the BTB matchmaking where you have access to DMR and camo and everything like that, you're going to find more success from being passive. I mean, that's just how the game is set up. But with the settings that I've seen and talked to Matt Klein about with BTB.net, you're going to have to play more aggressive if you want to get to that next point. Like,
Yeah,
it's fine when you have
do shit.
Could you repeat that?
It's going to be more like Halo 3, where you're spawning. It's like a fucking tickle machine from medium range. It's the only way you can get things done is to actually push up and derp around with a teammate holding your hand, because you're not individually capable. It has nothing to do with what your team strategy is. It's the only way you can get things done. If you're gone, just tickle people. Tickle. Battle
like
round.
The Halo 4 VR is a little bit more than tickle. Come on now, like
It's
like a rub.
It's a soothing back massage.
Right. The thing is that you're still going to have setups. They're just going to be further up into the enemy's face.
Yeah, I mean that's the point I'm trying to make, is that you have to move on from sitting behind your rock and like just sitting in the middle of the map and letting the other team come to you. You need to play more aggressive, especially with the new settings, with for instant respawn, especially being the main one, and the change from the DMR to the BR. Like, you need to be more aggressive as a team than just the original setup. I mean, we've never seen that in BTV, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
The last time I saw that in Big Team was in Halo 3, when the regulators, warlords, whatever, first started playing social Big Team, because they could be aggressive. Because the teams they were playing weren't nearly on their level at the time, because it was social Big Team. No one had really risen to the occasion. The only other team they were really around to challenge when they first came into being was the Insomniacs, and they just shoved them out of the way. But that was the only way they could close out games, was to just push up and just get games over with as fast as possible.
Yeah, their style was basically just run you over and over again, just hold forward.
And it never was anything about let's push all our guys to one side of the map. It was let's push in groups over the entire map. Not, hey, let's go shove one side over at a time. It's let's just be a wave of force that takes over everything. Because they could get away with that. They didn't have to worry about being worse than any of their opponents and losing an individual battle and losing part of their offensive line. Just
I mean, I see your point where obviously if you're significantly better than the other team, you're going to be able to just run through them. But I guess my feeling is like, I mean, you see it in MLG so often where like it's not just about getting map control, it's capitalizing on it, and it's not just limited to objective. It's also needs to extend over to Slayer, and as of right now,
I've never seen an MLG Slayer game end after 15 minutes on Pit TS and Halo. People sitting back as passive as can be.
Yeah,
never saw it.
Yeah, it did happen, but that's part of the limitations of. And you have to talk about 30 weapons. You didn't know what weapons are coming up, but that's a whole other argument. So let's try to stray away from that a little bit. But
it's because the individual couldn't do anything. They had to have numbers, and if they didn't have numbers and the power weapons, they couldn't do anything. And the team that had it usually had the lead, so they didn't have to do anything. Sit on your lead, let them make a mistake. You're going to slowly get a bigger and bigger lead. The game in Slayer is not about being the first one to 100. It's about having more kills or less deaths than your opponent. That's all it takes to win. Once you get the lead, you hold the strongest point on the map, the setup, if you will, and you win the game after they can't do anything to break that setup.
Well, I guess that's the beauty of 8v8, is that you can always have numbers on any one side. The maps are big enough that you can't, with a team of 8, always have numbers on any one side. In a 4v4 on, like, as you were saying, the pit, you can watch everything with 4 people and actually help each other. So no matter where they push from, you can do something about it. If in 8v8, you can't do that. The maps are too big to let you to do that. And with the BR starts, you're not going to be able to shoot across the map as effectively. And you will always be able to have numbers on any one given spot if you play intelligently.
You can always have people close enough together in large enough groups that they can kill individuals and win little group fights. You can have people split 2-2-2 and 2 or 3-3-2, however you need to, in the most important areas of the map and not have to leave those. you pushing 8 people together in one spot isn't going to make a difference if they have 3, because that's all they really need to do is hit 2 shots at a time, and they're going to clean up everybody that's coming. Or you're going to be sitting on explosive and dying a lot faster than you would if you were split up in a lot more kills.
So is your argument that like 3 people can hold off like an effective push of say 6? Because I just frankly disagree with that, and like
If
completely
those 6
wholeheartedly disagree with that.
It depends on the tree of the area. If you got 6 in one area, they're either going to be spread out enough that they can be picked off, or clustered together enough that they can be explosive to death through rockets, grenades, whatever.
I feel like that's even with that limitation, you still have numbers. And again, with the instant spawn and I guess the new mechanics of the respawn system in Halo 4, where I believe it's more heavily weighted based on where your teammates are, is it not?
Not nearly as much as Reach.
Not nearly as much as Reach?
It's more, the enemy presence has higher weighting than anything except a grenade being on the respawn point.
Okay.
So you'll
So
spawn away from your enemies more than you will.
I dare you to
Dare
take
your
on
friend.
Oddly and Spawns. Do it.
oh,
Yeah, I think that would be a subject for a different discussion.
If anyone
I
wants
think,
to
since
debate
we're-
Spawns with Oddly, I dare you.
I'm sure I could find someone. I think at that point we'll call this debate closed. We're close to an hour. I want to get some questions from the chat box in here. And since the score doesn't matter, I'm just going to say Ruben wins. And we'll go ahead and take some of the questions there.
can I just give one closing
Fucking
piece?
chin strap
Sure.
beats me
What's
this week.
Yeah, because my one closing piece is that like the only way I'd even be like interested in coming back team is if a team was willing to like push like to get to that next level of skill gap. Like it honestly got boring just sitting there and knowing that this was the way to win. And I really hope, and I'm excited for BTB if a team is willing to get to that next level.
No, I completely. Before we get to the questions here, real quick, I'll agree with that. That once in Halo 3 and in Reach, once there was a team that was, whether they had reached the limit or not, once there was a team that was a ton better than everyone else, that made everyone else want to be better. They didn't want. Nobody wants one team to be, staking. Giving everybody a spectacular every time they play. So every team improved to try and catch up. So yeah,
Like the Regulators formed solely as a team to beat the Insomniacs, and then after the Regulators came together in big team, there were other teams that tried to get better to beat the Regulators, and that's how Rev kind of rose eventually.
and it happened in squad too. Like teams would form just because someone else was beating everyone. And it happened in Reach. It'll happen here in Halo 4. It'll happen more here in Halo 4 because they actually have a place to consistently.
Hell, it happens in MLG 4v4s.
Exactly. Yeah.
Teams reform
break
to
up
try to
every
beat
team just to
Instinct
try
and
to beat
Reach.
somebody. Right. So yeah, we'll go ahead and take some questions now. And you guys have something you want to ask in the chat box?
Well, the only thing that anyone posted on the forums was Sandman asked, would it be possible for a BTB custom match to ever take place on the MLG.com show with Puckett?
That's an excellent question, and the answer is probably. He did ask us a couple weeks ago to be able to put a scrim together for him, and we're just waiting for what time he wants to do that.
Sounds good to me.
Yep. So does anybody in the chat box have a question?
Chin strap? What the fuck kind of chin strap is
Roar, you
that?
don't have any good questions this week?
Dude, Oddly, look at the stream. Look at the stream, dude.
Somebody call you a chin strap mania?
Someone in this chat right now.
Just ignoring you. Fuzzy chin strap. Totally different.
Yep.
What's your question? Oh. Have we ever thought about contacting sponsors about prizes to try and get more attention to the site? Yes, actually, the PR team is currently working on that. So keep your fingers crossed. Maybe we can get some goodies. Ruben, can you teach Mango how to grow amazing facial hair? Seriously, he's got a baby face.
Get Irish blood in you, and it will just sprout. There's nothing stopping it.
Irish blood. Is that like a brand of whiskey?
Yes. You actually go to Ireland
Get
and
outta
ask
here.
for whiskey,
Work
and their
it out.
whiskey
Man.
is so
Get
strong.
him out of here. Wow.
Alright,
Who's my favorite rar? You are.
Pick-
Beer asks, when is the first tournament? Have we decided on a date?
The actual definite date to start? No, we have not yet. As soon as we do, that will be announced. Costa, you are so done with you.
Oh my
What
god.
were you thinking?
So done. The definite date will be announced on the forums, and everybody will be welcome to do so to sign up. We'll have, I believe, it will be like a short tournament over the winter is what we're looking at right now. But an exact start date, we don't have it yet. Get out of here! Boot this kid! Boot this kid!
We're still testing maps and settings. Obviously, you can download them at from the file share of official BTB net, and come to the forums and give us your feedback. Leave us links to your games if you put them in your file share, so that we can get everything as good as we can. A lot of teams have been helping us a lot so far, so we're getting a lot of good feedback. But just play them. If you need to find people to play them with, come to the forums. There's threads for that. There's a lot of teams that are always looking to scrim, so come help.
What teams do you think will come out top 3?
Top 3.
I'm gonna MT bias my opinion. If we get our heads out of our asses, we'll actually be good. But as long as they're stuck as far up our asses as they are right now, we will suck dick until the day I die.
I'm okay with that.
So quoting both of you there, going on the news ticker with that.
But okay,
I would say right now, and I'll freely admit I'm as surprised as anyone. Blacklisted is very good.
yeah.
Everybody's gonna be like, "What the hell is he talking about?" No, they're very good, and I got no problem, admitting to that. Do you even free fall? Wake Up is still gonna be, in my opinion, until they lose a real series when it matters, and it's not just a practice scrim.
Yep.
They are the team to beat, period. No question. They've won the last 2 seasons. They won the tournament before that. They are back-to-back-to-back champions. So, and even though that was reach, that's what we've got. So, right now, I would say, barring any other team popping up, I'd give it Wake Up, Blacklisted, MT. That's the top 3.
Will Blacklisted play without Swell and Ninja? Find out next week.
Yeah, I actually
I
don't
don't know.
know.
Maybe the top team will be this aggressive team from the guy that only runs stall teams in Pokemon.
Wow, you cannot call that. No. John.
You gotta be aggressive. I'm just gonna stall this out.
Someone's just mad their brain doesn't work as well as mine.
So, Agrar asks another good question. Have you ever thought of doing a team mix-up where you take players from each team, switch them up, and let everyone play against each other and meet up with new players, learn new strategies?
our testing lobbies are very much like that.
Yeah.
They're usually like basically anybody who wants to get into the lobby gets in the lobby, and then teams are picked. It's not. It is basically. It's not usually team versus team. It is usually lots of different players. So yeah, if you're interested in helping us test, just jump into a lobby. You will meet basically everyone that is involved in the community at all. The ones that are most involved outside of like the staff of the site, they are the ones in those testing lobbies every day. So yeah, that's what I would do if I were you. Then that's how that works. Let's go ahead and get one more question if you can.
Who's gonna be that lucky number one?
Do it, Roar. Come on, Roar.
Oh, everyone's letting me down. Myth just
Yep.
posted a block, but it wasn't a question.
Why didn't any of you
He's
mention
on his
something?
iPhone.
Most mediocre.
And his Myth. Good job, Myth.
Sudden
Right. SD bias. Well, if there's no more questions, then that about wraps up this week's of.
Oh,
Got one?
Game Sager Bridge.
Oh, the Sager go
Dude.
Fletch? The question?
Aggro one.
yeah, Agrar number one questioner 2013. He asks, are there any teams from last season that you're interested in seeing play again that were under the radar before?
Yeah, actually, I'm interested in seeing the. I mean, there's a couple actually. I'm interested in. I'm hoping that Sudden Death comes back and actually plays. I'm interested in this this group that is splintered off from Revolution. And also, I'm interested in the rebuilt Perfect Mix. They actually did very well in Standard League in Season 1, moved into Premier League in Season 2, didn't really make a bunch of noise, but I think with Halo 4 they might be able to do that.
PMS team?
I'm hoping to see Side Hard.
Yeah, that's another one, yeah.
They did so
Return of
good
Guardian.
in the Standard last season, and I bet they will do even better this time around.
What about OCR?
I hope they show up. Honestly, I do. I really hope they show up.
I want to see a team with some pro players and not just we finished top 16 at MLG Columbus for Reach, the last Halo event.
I want the Suds
you,
to
Oddly.
play in Halo 4.
That is actually
Sud
something
cut
we
from
have.
a-
Will you take away 5 points from him just for saying that? If I lose 5 points for mentioning Ninja, he should lose 10 for mentioning the Suds.
There's
Did you
actually
see Sud 2
we-
on stream?
we have heard that they will be participating.
Good God,
A
I hope he gets in the
blacklist.
Banshee. Literally, his Banshee driving skills were like Game Sager on acid.
Notice he says it's
No
Banshee,
game changer.
Banshee driving. Tells you how much Mania gets in a vehicle.
No, literally, Sud 2 drove the Banshee. He didn't fly that thing. It was on the ground the entire time.
Ground.
Yeah.
Why is the ground blue? Why is the sky green?
Seriously, I hope anybody who has any interest whatsoever sign up, get a team, show up, play, make Costa look dumb. I mean, that's not hard, but do it. You got that backwards.
No, it shows up correct on the stream.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, how come your thing is like that and I make all the signs and mine they're backwards?
Yeah.
Because I know how to mirror webcams.
You know what? I got no
Hello.
I've
So-
got stream experience, kid.
Same experience, yeah.
point check.
Even
Pretty
li-
sure someone gave me one at one point.
Yeah, that about wraps up this week's episode of BTBtv. Keep active on our forums. You might see some new features coming up, highlighting. No free Ninja side.
Well,
Yeah, we might have interviews, all kinds of stuff coming up. Tune in next week for the logo winner announcement for real this time. Remember to follow, and we'll see you guys next week. And thanks for your questions.
One last disclaimer, and I'm not talking about you, Pat, is if anybody has played good games on BTBnet settings, either test settings or current settings right now, private message me on BTBnet with your gamer tag and the name of the file in your file share. I will cap it, and you will be famous on the BTBtv stream. I guarantee it. If it's an actual good gameplay, I will stream it on this channel.
I might cast it.
True.
I won't do
That's right.
anything.
Costa will make
There
fun
won't
of
be
you.
any good gameplay out of you anyway.
I will make
Costa.
fun of your gameplay for you. And call you.
All right, guys. You guys have a good night, and thanks for watching.
Bye.